Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Today, we're talking about a bunch of super old jackasses taking over the box office, Netflix bringing some serious star power to their 2022 movie lineup, and Peter Dinklage evil witching about Disney's upcoming live-action Snow White movie. So, join us as we discuss all this and everything else that happened this week in Geek. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace. My name is Kev, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we're Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. Keeping me company on this chilly February evening are two dudes with fancy dues who are paying their dues to be your podcast gurus. Of course, I'm referring to Justin J. Law Lawrence and Nate Shelton. How are we doing this fine evening, gentlemen?
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
Keeping it warm, bro. Keeping it warm over here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's important. We're in the throes of Canadian winter at its finest right now.
Winter is here.
You know, if it's not shoveling the driveway, it's cranking up the heater. It's always something these days, it feels. And let me tell you, I'm dog sitting still, and walking four beasts outside in the freezing cold is just never a good time.
Dude, four beasts in the freezing cold. That would make for a good movie. Just Kevin alone in the wintertime, like stuck somewhere stranded.
That kind of sounds like it's already been done with
beasts.
Liam Neeson, though.
Oh, is that? Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Yeah, but those beasts wanted to eat that guy. I don't think your pups would do that to you, Kevin.
No, they would just really annoy me. This movie would definitely be rated R for all the swearing, let me tell you.
Yeah. You would just end up killing yourself out of being annoyed. That's all it would be.
Well, you know, it's funny. Speaking of being annoyed, as we plan these shows, we use the app Slack to sort of, exchange news articles and trailers and whatnot. And I don't know if it's just I have a bad memory, I'm getting old or anything, but I can never seem to find this or most other apps on my phone. I'm always having to use the search function because I have no idea where
that's
I
how I
put
live.
these apps.
Yeah.
It's and it just I guess it goes to show that phones have incredible storage capabilities these days, and we just sort of take that for granted. But it got me thinking, what if our phones didn't have that kind of memory? What if, aside from the ones that come standard on an iPhone these days, what if you could only have 3 apps on your phone?
Oh, damn.
You had to pare it down to just 3 apps. It's a crazy difficult assignment,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a thought process.
It's a damn near impossible task, So I decided for myself, at least, I would have to have something for sports.
Yeah,
That's just a go-to. And there's just certain apps in sports and movies that are better apps than they are web page browsers, at least when they've been converted to phones. And so Bleacher Report, the app is just so much more enjoyable to use than going onto their website. So that would be my go-to sports app. Much in the same vein, I find IMDb, the app, is just like so much better than the web page version of it, which is crazy considering it started as a web page all those years ago.
Yeah, their website sucks.
It sucks.
It's horrible.
Awful. So yeah, IMDb, I go on IMDb like 10 times a day while I'm watching stuff and whatnot to see who that actor is, what I know them from.
Yeah.
And I guess I love my mobile games, but if I could only have one, it would be my New York Times crossword app. I go on and do at least 1 or 2 crosswords a day, and so if I could only have one, that would be it.
Kevin, soon they're going to have the New York Times Wordle app, after they purchased Wordle recently.
Well,
so
talk about stressful. I need an app for that to save my progress because I've had to have this web browser open on my phone for about 2 weeks now to record my progress. And I've come close to closing it so many times.
I think, I think it'll still record it, Kevin. I think it goes
really?
based
If
off
I
like
went
your
back
IP
there
address.
and recognize my IP?
I'm
but
pretty
I don't want to
sure.
be the one to test that.
I tried to cheat once. I tried to cheet and go back and see if I could do it in one, and then it was like, no, you've already done it for the day. I'm like, frick.
Okay.
Okay. So we're saying, sorry, are we saying podcast app is allowed as like a pre-built-in app?
I think that comes pre-built in, right? That's
okay.
already on the phone.
Okay,
Yep.
sick. Okay, so then I gotta go with Instagram for sure. I'm such a simp for the social medias. I would say maybe a YouTube. I gotta go YouTube on there. And let's go Letterboxd. You said IMDb. I'm gonna go Letterboxd. I wanna see what my friends think of the latest movies and shows.
And again, those are two apps that you can, or sites you can get on a web browser, but are just so much better in app form. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Twitter. Like, I would probably keep Twitter as the social networking app that I would use on the regular. Twitter's a little bit all intensive purposes. It just has everything that you need.
Also, the least work with Twitter. I find if I need to put an Instagram post out, like I'm taking like an hour to do an Instagram post because I'm old, as like Kevin says, right? And so it's like I'm trying to get everything work like perfectly, and like they need to fix how you do stickers and stories and stuff like that. It's terrible, but with Twitter, you're right. Twitter, you can just sort of like, oh, that's a cheeky thing to say, and then you just put it out. Put a hashtag on there, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and yet I'll still sit there for half an hour trying to craft the perfect way to say something.
I probably should sit there for a half an hour and try to craft.
And you know what? If maybe I had more than 8 followers, it would be worth the time I spent doing that.
I think the other thing too, I would want to keep is Letterboxd. I like Letterboxd. I like being able to track movies I've watched. And movies that other people have watched. I think that's fun, and you get some reviews in there as well. It has sort of a built-in IMDb interface, and I guess the last app would be YouTube because I need my video content, man.
Well, let me ask: do you guys have a go-to? Because I know I don't. Do you have a go-to app that you use to get the latest news and movies and everything like that? Or is it posts you see on Twitter and Instagram and that sort of thing? Is that
Twitter.
sort of that leads it to you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe Geekcentric needs to put out an app where it's just pumping that latest and greatest news and movie trailers, kind of like we're doing on the show here, but up to the minute. I think that would be a great idea. But perhaps speaking of the news, we should move right into that segment.
It's all about the details.
All right, our top story comes from Rebecca Rubin of Variety. Jackass Forever catapults to #1 as Moonfall craters. I, for one, am certainly not surprised by the second part of that headline.
No.
But as a big-time old-school Jackass fan, this is really fun to see. And I will just start off by saying we actually went to the movies just yesterday. We went to go see Scream.
Nice.
But as we were sitting there waiting for the movie to start, the trailer for Jackass came on, and the three of us who were there said, you know what? We're making this a double bill. And so, sure enough, we stuck around for a second show. It was played about 20 minutes after, and given how disappointing Scream was, it was a great idea because this left us all... My head hurt from laughing so hard at this movie. Somehow these idiots are just still so charming 20 years later. So as Rebecca says, after living through nearly 2 years of a pandemic that won't end, Americans, and I guess Canadians, as it turns out, were in desperate need of a laugh. That may explain why Paramount's go-for-broke action comedy Jackass Forever triumphed at the box office, while Roland Emmerich's disaster epic Moonfall turned into an epic disaster. So I wonder what he's going to blame now, because he was coming out over the last few weeks saying how Marvel and studios like that are ruining movies.
Oh my gosh, dude! And he won't put the movie out in Canada. It's like we don't even get a chance to.
Yeah, why is it not? Why is it not going into Canada? I didn't understand why.
We encountered a total of 22 people, including employees, over the 4.5 hours we were at the theater the other day. So. Maybe
part of
it's just not worth the effort. We certainly weren't contributing to Jackass's big box office over the weekend, let me tell you. Speaking of which, Jackass Forever, the 4th installment in the ongoing saga of projectiles to the groin, collected $23.5 million from 3,600 North American locations in its debut, landing on the higher end of expectations. The latest Jackass, starring Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Wee Man, and other daredevils from MTV days, had wildly been expected to win the weekend, but its victory is still surprising and impressive because it had been some time since a pure comedy has claimed the top spot on box office charts. In catapulting to first place, Jackass Forever finally took down reigning champion Spider-Man No Way Home, which spent 6 of the last 8 weeks at #1. Jackass Forever has also been a kind of a hit with critics, notching 85% on Rotten Tomatoes and a B+ cinema score from audience members.
Which is shocking.
And, I mean... you know what? Honestly, it is so much fun. If you at all enjoy people getting injured or whatnot, it is a lot of fun.
Slapstick, yeah.
Question, Kevin, do I have to watch all the other Jackass movies to understand this one? Is that how it kind of works?
All that would do for you is to give you an appreciation of these guys who've been around. But I mean, in this one, they introduce 3 or 4 new guys that actually do seem to take over the brunt of the escapades. Just I think Johnny and Steve-O and Chris Pontius, the older guys. I mean, these guys are in their mid-50s. So
crazy.
There's only so many times I think, they want to stand in front of PK Subban and take a 92-mile-an-hour slap shot to the nuts.
Right, and I've heard there's a lot of nuts and dicks in this one.
There is an awful lot of penis in this movie. Bare, full exposed male genitalia.
Right there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's in perfect Jackass fashion. But yeah, I was a huge fan of the movies when I was growing up. Now I would say that I wouldn't necessarily rush up to theaters to see this movie, but I will probably check it out at some point. So
again, though, for fans of the original TV show and then the 3 movies, I've seen them all in theaters, and so it was fun to see them back on screen again after quite a little while. And I just think it's crazy. This movie cost approximately $10 million to make. Brought in $23 million on its first weekend. So needless to say, this was a great investment by the company, and I think everyone involved will do quite well. On the opposite side of that, we've got Moonfall with a Moonfail, excellent. $140 million budget.
Yeah.
One of the most expensive independent films ever. It brought in $10 million.
Oh, my god.
They are going to lose a buttload of money on this movie. And now, I know a couple weeks ago we were talking about Roland Emmerich, and this being his shtick. Is this the one that makes him either quit movies forever or at least try something different?
I would hope that it at least shows that he should try something different. He'll blame it on the pandemic. He'll blame it on all these other elements before he kind of maybe does look inward and maybe think about the kind of movies that he's making and maybe what he could do differently. He makes comments about the lack of originality around comic book movies, yet he just seems to reproduce the same sort of disaster films.
Jeez, look in the mirror, dude.
Right? So, I don't know. It's just really strange that he would make these comments and not really with the awareness of the kind of movies that he's producing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised that a movie like Jackass Forever would catapult and beat Moonfall, given the fact that, again, this didn't feel like anything original from any other disaster movie. It was depressing and it just looked epic for the sake of it. And clearly that shows. And I think people want to laugh right now. And then in Jackass, you have this reuniting of a cast. Plus, on top of that, you're meeting new cast members. So in a way, sort of pass the torch to maybe future Jackass members.
It's the Force Awakens of Jackass. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's the ass awakening of
Ass Awakens.
But I will say, none of the guys are standing there crotchety and throwing lightsabers over their shoulder. They were fully embracing their role as the mentor. And
That's cool. Do you think they do a Jackass 5 ever? Is that what they would call
I could see it in a few years, and
Yeah.
you've really at that point relegated your older stars to just sort of standing there and watching these young guys make idiots of themselves and hurt themselves.
Right.
There's one fella named Aaron. I really hope he gets a break in the next one because he is utterly tortured. They really ran this guy through the gauntlet, so I hope he gets a break if they do another one.
Oh man, you're getting me stoked to see it. Do you think it needs to be seen in a theater or no?
You know what? I think the only thing, unfortunately, that was missing from the theatrical experience was the laughter. I mean, the 3 of us were howling away, but that's basically, there was only 6 other people in there, and they were all really distant. So if you can get into a theater, even at a 25% occupancy, where like I would go if you were going to go, I would go next Friday night,
right?
At 9:00, and you might have enough people in there to give you that theatrical sort of laughing experience.
Makes sense, dude, that this movie, like you said, Justin, like people want to laugh right now, right?
Exactly.
I think if you're gonna blame like Roland Emmerich, like blaming Marvel and stuff, it's like, no, dude, people want to watch stuff that's gonna make them happy. You can do dramatic stuff, and like I get that Moonfall was supposed to be like a popcorn flick, but it's about the world ending, and it's like maybe people want to just watch people get hit in the nuts right this minute. And then maybe we can do the world-ending stuff a little bit later on. I don't know.
I will say he has an interesting point. I always disagree with it. I don't think that that both types of movies, that Marvel and the big blockbuster and the less original sort of movies, can't coexist with smaller, original, independent projects. And we see every year those smaller independent projects are the ones that get the most critical attention and win the awards when it really matters. And, it's up to people to go out and find these movies, because it is tough when the Marvels and Disney movies of the world are sort of taking up most of that box office attention. But that doesn't mean there aren't platforms for a little bit more originality and, but just looking at all of our news articles and our trailers that we're watching, it is a lot of less than original sort of content that we're seeing. I mean, let's move on to our next story here. This is from James Hibbard at The Hollywood Reporter. Netflix's That 90s Show reveals its next generation cast. The sequel to Fox's That 70s Show includes a couple of familiar faces, plus many newcomers. Netflix's sequel to That 70s Show has announced its young ensemble cast. The actors join previously announced returning cast members Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp as Red and Kitty, who will also serve as executive producers. The new series is set in 1995, while Leah Foreman, daughter of the original show's Eric and Donna, is visiting her grandparents for the summer and bonds with a new generation of Point Place kids under the watchful eye of Kitty and the stern glare of Red. The new Point Place teens are Ashley Ofterhide, Kaylee Hierda, Mace Coronel, Macwell Assie Donovan, Rain Doy, and Sam Morelos. I'm just going to apologize in advance now. There are a lot of names on this podcast that I might struggle to pronounce. The article goes on to describe in detail each of the new characters these young actors will be playing. So if you're interested, go and check it out if you want to learn a little bit more. In having read over it myself, I will say it's nice to see that the characters don't sound like just newer versions of the sort of archetypes that the previous show had. It seems like they're giving a new group of kids that are going to fit into being in the middle of the 90s rather than just your stoner and your this and your that. I think we're going to get the 90s version of these sort of less than brown-nosing A-plus student kids. And so at least that's a fresh spin on it. This show was my jam back in the day. So I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. I enjoyed the show back when. I wouldn't say I was a diehard fan who watched it every week, and nor have I at this point watched all of That 70s Show in sequential order. That being said, I have watched it. I do love the show, and I think what it's going to do right now when it comes out on Netflix for the kids of this generation is what it did for us. It felt like a time travel sort of experience, and it was a fun. Reminiscent, and it had all the right nostalgia. So I think that if they can stick to landing with this one, it would be good. And I think obviously giving some space. Like, wasn't there That 80s Show which came out
bomb?
I mean, it came out while 70s Show was on, and so just bombed.
Yeah.
I'm just worried. It kind of reminds like this casting. Just Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp as returning so far, I think is what you said, right? Like we don't have. Like Topher Grace is not coming through, Mila Kunis, like none of the originals.
I mean, I'm hoping they're just keeping maybe a few little surprises.
Yeah, okay, they're no way homing it.
Get some cameos.
They're gonna no way homing it.
Yeah,
it's giving me vibes though. Like we have to wait and see a trailer. Like these kids could be fantastic actors. They could be filming it in a different like style as well. Maybe it's not going to be so much like the. Yeah, it's going to be maybe a little bit less sitcom, more with dramatic elements and.
Yeah, I wonder, do we get the laugh track? That is a good question.
So this is the thing, right? Because like if they do the laugh track stuff, it gives me too many vibes of like Fuller House kind of feeling, right?
So
where it's like,
but they could.
I don't know if we.
I don't know. I know, but
but I just think this was a show about kids, experimenting with alcohol and drugs, and it's a little bit more elevated than the problems kids in grade 6 face, right? And so I think you have to keep it to that. Like you said, just it's crazy to think that this is we're looking at a time that for now is 27 years ago for us, the mid 90s. It's the almost exact same amount of time that had passed from the 70s when this show came on, and we were watching it in the mid to late 90s, and so. I think you keep it with the same tone. You keep it with that, high school students and whatever they're doing now. And yeah, you just do it in the 90s a little bit, so not what they're doing now, but what they were doing in the 90s and at that time. But I don't think you bring it down to a kid's show. This is very much a late teen sort of show.
I do think that it's not uncommon for Netflix to do a sort of sitcom style with the live studio audience sort of laugh track. They've done it. I think for this to feel in the same continuity of That 70s Show, they'll probably stick with that sitcom style, but who knows?
Like Terry Turner's one of the writers, and Third Rock from the Sun, Tommy Boy, Wayne's World, and especially Saturday Night Live. He was a writer throughout the 80s into the early 90s. So yeah, like it's gonna. I do think maybe we will get that laugh track after seeing this writing crew. But I honestly just need a trailer, I guess, at this point, because I don't know if this casting's really doing anything for me.
No, I mean, I think they brought the two best characters that they could bring back. Kitty and Red were the sort of the grounding for the rest of these characters, and so a whole new generation. And I mean, I don't think watching this you're going to get any vibes from these relatively unknown actors. But look at what that '70s show did for most of its cast. Between
true.
Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, Topher Grace. Like, so many careers were launched from the original show, and so if this could do that for a few new actors, then pretty
Plus,
cool.
one of their kids is named Nate, so let's go. I'm down.
Well, on the vein of rebooting, whatever you want to call it, to shows and movies from the past, our next story comes from Joe Otterson from Variety, which says that Goosebumps' new live-action TV series lands at Disney+. So according to Variety, the new Goosebumps TV series has been picked up by Disney+. The new series, based on the R.L. Stine books, was first reported as being in the works as early as April 2020. Disney Plus has given the show a 10-episode order. The series follows a group of 5 high school students who unleash supernatural forces upon their town and must all work together, thanks to and in spite of their friendships, rivalries, and pasts with each other, in order to save it, learning much about their own parents' teenage secrets in the process. Nick Stoller and Rob Letterman serve as writers and executive producers on the show, and Letterman will also direct the first episode. The 2 recent Goosebump feature films were released in 2015 and 2018, and both of the movies grossed over $250 million. Goosebumps sold over 400 million English-language copies of the books, which is absolutely insane. It's one of the greatest book-selling series of all time. This marks the second live-action Goosebumps series to make it to air. Fans, people of my age will remember the first live-action show airing for 4 seasons and 74 episodes between 1996 and 98. And now that show was more of an episodic anthology, with each episode being based on the different Goosebump book. So to see that they're taking this in a different direction,
like a linear, yeah,
it almost sounds like it's more of a story arc. It almost sounds like they're doing more of what they did in the movie, where all of the stories are coming together rather than being told separately. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
As long as they don't have in the intro, they don't have that golden retriever with the green eyes, dude. That gave me nightmares, dude. Like, that thing was freaky. But no, like, if they're gonna do, like, I didn't even realize there was a Goosebumps 2. I had no idea that they came out with another movie in 2018. But that first one I thought was actually pretty good.
The first one is really, really fun.
Right?
The second one tries. It tries, and it's not offensively bad. It just didn't have the same magic as that first one.
Do we get Jack Black in this one?
You do get Jack Black a bit more in the second one, actually.
Okay. But do you think he shows up in the show?
I feel like this is almost going to be different, right? Because Disney didn't do those Goosebump movies, so I think they're going to keep this on their own. I just hope we don't get the dummy. I mean, I'm done with the ventriloquist doll. What's his name? Slappy or Snappy or whatever. The character never interested me in the books. Didn't do much for me in the movies, and I think they played that character to death over the 2 movies. So I hope they go a different direction if there is going to be sort of one leading antagonist.
They almost did better with Slappy in Toy Story 4 than they did in the recent movies.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's interesting, though, that they're trying to build like a universe or a world for Goosebumps, where, like, what we know and love about
universe.
Well, no, but that's what I mean, right? Like, they're trying to lean into this idea of how can they draw this out, very much like, the Star Wars and the Marvel and the DCs are doing with their IP. That being said, I think the strength of Goosebumps is those individual stories. That was what I loved about when I was growing up, and what got me into reading was just those books. So, while I don't think that it worked to try to reserve a whole book into one 30-minute episode, I thought we could see something maybe a little bit more along the lines of a whole season dedicated to a book that tells that story, almost like a Goosebumps Presents.
You got to imagine, when the original Goosebumps series came out, they were almost forced into the anthology style because of how TV just aired, right? Like, kids aren't going to be tuning in on a week-to-week basis this, every kid show was just, you catch it when you catch it, and if it's on, it's on. You might have already seen that episode, or it might have been a repeat or whatever. But it never really followed that narrative. So they were almost forced into that. Whereas like with streaming culture, we've now got the bingeability of being able to watch a whole season all the way through.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying now it would work better to not necessarily reserve an episode, because I get it. Like if they wanted to be a kid show, they had to run for 22 minutes with commercial breaks, and it had to be a really concise narrative that just fit within that window of time for a 30-minute block. And that's sort of what forced them to go down that route and try to condense their books into these short sort of episodes. Whereas I think
stories,
short stories more or less, which could be experienced now with this bingeable culture.
And so what if it's almost a combination of the two ideas where you're almost taking a case of the week aspect at each episode, but because it's with the same group of kids, you don't have to spend parts of every episode introducing new people and who they are and what their story is. And so we avoid all that. We sort of have a linear narrative with their story and what their backgrounds are, because it says they want to explore that. But then, a monster of the week sort of appears in tribute to a different book every week. I think
that's cool, because I will say the characters in Goosebumps is that couldn't tell you one. I could tell you the stories, but I couldn't tell you a single person like Jimmy or Billy.
Yeah, they were all
whatever.
bratty kids who got sent off to a camp they didn't want to go to and were mad at their parents because of it. And
I will say the only other episode of Goosebumps that freaked me the F out is being the one where she's on the bed and then the hands come through the bed and like grab her. I literally like to this day, if there's a bump in my bed, I'm like, I don't know if I can sleep tonight. I don't know about this.
Well, speaking about not sleeping well, I think Peter Dinklage has lost a little bit of sleep recently, and he brings up a very interesting point about equality and representation in Hollywood. This story comes from Ryan Parker at The Hollywood Reporter. The article is titled, Disney Responds to Peter Dinklage's Snow White Live-Action Criticisms. So last week, Peter Dinklage, the Emmy-winning Game of Thrones star, was a guest on Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, where he blasted the announced film based on the 1937 animated classic. After noting the casting of West Side Story breakout Rachel Zegler, Dinklage told Moran, literally no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback when they were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Take a step back and look what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but then you're still making that effing backwards story about seven dwarfs living in a cave together. What the F are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. Dinklage is not involved with the Disney project. Now, Disney attempted to set the record straight following the remarks in one of the fastest responses I've ever seen to something like this.
It's like the next day.
They're quoted as saying, to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these seven characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. We look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period. Still years from release, Snow White will have cultural consultants, just like other live-action films such as Aladdin and Mulan. The film has been in development for 3 years. The studio has been reimagining the dwarf characters since the earliest stages and intended for the characters to be CG animated.
Interesting.
Yeah, so what do we think about this developing battle that Peter Dinklage seems to be waging against Disney? Is he right? And I'm just going to say really quickly here, I personally have always viewed the dwarf characters as more science fiction tropes of a mythical being rather than seven human characters with the condition of dwarfism. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't know if it's ever necessarily been meant to be anything derisive against people with a certain medical condition.
I think it's just the aspect of, like, I think he specifically calls out them living in a cave, right?
But I mean,
and sort
they
of just
don't.
being
They live in a nice wood hut in the middle of the forest, and they're clearly very, very wealthy little
the diamonds
wealthy
and everything
entrepreneurial individuals. They bring in mad hauls with their diamond mining. You know, they're well to do. They just want to live out in the forest together.
To me, it almost seems like making them into CG characters is kind of upsetting. Like, why not just kind of, to your point, what you're saying there, Kevin? Like, just make them seven dwarfs, just seven little people that want to help our main character. Like, they don't need to be in a cave. They don't need to be misrepresented in any way. They can totally be like these well-off characters. But like, to take them and now say, oh no, they're all CGI like creatures, like that almost, I don't know if that almost feels a little worse in a way. I don't know.
It's almost like Peter Dinklage is helping us to educate ourselves on the matter, which I think for a lot of it is what he's trying to fight for here, is
Right.
people educating themselves and becoming aware. And I think what he should be fighting for here now is obviously to make sure that the representation of these characters is that they're fine, upstanding individuals. But this is an opportunity for 7 little people to get work in an industry that is a very difficult industry for certain people to find work. And wouldn't Peter Dinklage want to see 7 people become employed and have jobs and work on a project that could bring a positive light to these characters?
But now they're all going to be CGI. Now they're all just going to be CGI.
Yeah,
like,
if that's the direction. I mean, I'm not
creatures.
sure if Dinklage knew that when he was going on his
right.
tirade.
Well, it
here,
says in
but-
the article he is not affiliated with the
Yeah.
film at all.
And maybe he should be. Maybe he should be brought on as one of the consultants.
Yeah.
If he has ideas on how to better represent these characters.
I think part of it has a lot to do with just like sort of stoking the conversation about, you know, Disney and how they would handle this and how they
Right.
are going to go about doing it. You know, calling out the fact that they've casted a Latina Snow White, which is so progressive and so forward, and it shows that you're breaking those boundaries. Are you going to do the same when it comes to the 7 dwarfs?
Yeah.
And I think you're right, Kevin. I think it's an opportunity for us to be more educated on stuff like this, and everyone needs to be more aware of these sort of things. And if that's what he's really doing here, if that's what he's trying to do by engaging in this conversation, you know, we'll hopefully all be the better for it.
Absolutely. But let's move on from the news and hit up some good old trailer time.
It's trailer time.
Alrighty, well, our first trailer comes from the television juggernaut that is Peacock, who has just released the Joe vs. Carol trailer for the forthcoming limited series, highlighting the intense rivalry between Tiger King stars Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin. Joe vs. Carol is based on the Wondery podcast Joe Exotic, which was hosted and reported by Robert Moore. Stars John Cameron Mitchell, Kate McKinnon, Kyle MacLachlan, Brian Van Holt, Sam Keeley, Nat Wolff, Mario Kelly, William Fichtner, Dean Winters, and David Wenham. The limited series will center on Carol Baskin, a big cat enthusiast who learns that fellow exotic animal lover Joe Exotic Shrivel is breeding and using his big cats for profit. She sets out to shut down his venture, inciting a quickly escalating rivalry, but Carol has a checkered past of her own, and when the claws come out, Joe will stop at nothing to expose what he sees as her hypocrisy. The results prove dangerous. So, as if we're not getting enough Joe Exotic and Tiger King content, now we're getting the series based on the docuseries that came out during this pandemic. It hasn't even been that long.
It's surreal. Like, I do think they are going to financially recover from this because it looks good. It's crazy to see the show. It doesn't feel that long ago, like you're saying, that this documentary came out. And
It was like
I gotta
March
say,
or
like,
April 2020 that the
it's
series
right.
came out. Yeah.
This turned around so quickly. I remember us talking about like our total recast ideas for this, and like I was totally wanting to see Doc Antle as John Travolta. I was having NBC spend way more money on this show than they did, but like I had Benedict Cumberbatch as Don Lewis, and then Brad Pitt as Joe Exotic. I think would have been nuts. But I remember they were also talking about like potentially bringing in Nick Cage at one point or something like that. But I don't know, like Kate McKinnon, I think has the chops to be able to pull off like a comedic and a dramatic side. And I think,
Yeah, dude.
you know, all the people in that documentary, all of them are awful people. Don't think any other way. But I felt like the documentary sort of put Joe Exotic to be more of a hero and Carol is more of the villain. So it's kind of nice to see that they're focusing more on Carol in this one and sort of painting a better picture of her side of things, because I do think that she was wrongfully villainized, even though I still don't think she's a great person. But I think they took it a little too far on Joe Exotic's side in the documentary.
Yeah, I think that this is a great way to try to tell the other nuances to the documentary that might have been overlooked, right? So I think really focusing in on Joe and Carol, while they did lay the groundwork in the documentary, we didn't get to see the nuanced moments that do surround that, whether it be speculation or truth or he said, she said sort of stuff, and they just bring that to life through this dramatization. Because if anything that the documentary proved of Tiger King is that people want to see this sort of dumpster fire of a lifestyle sort of explored, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just nuts.
I'm a little confused though. IMDb, and again, maybe this is just because IMDb's website sucks, but they're just showing John Cameron Mitchell, who plays Joe Exotic, in one episode. Whereas for Carol Baskin, they're showing Kate McKinnon in 8. So it's like, is it just going to be the setup? Is that all he's there for? Because
no, he's in the trailer. That's a 2-minute trailer that we watched, right? Like over 2 minutes, and he's in a good chunk.
He's in it quite a bit. There's no way you can do this show with Joe Exotic in one episode. Right. There's just no way.
But I do think that Kate McKinnon is going to be the titular character, right? While the documentary was about Joe, this series will be about Carol.
I've never seen John Cameron Mitchell in a role before, but looking up some of the stuff he's done on IMDb, it looks like a lot of dramatic roles. Like, it doesn't really look like there's a ton of sort of comedic stuff in there. So I think it'll be really interesting. He looks the part. Like, holy crap, does he look
spectacular.
The part.
Yeah, he looks great.
Unbelievable. And then like Dean Winters as Jeff Lowe is, I think, perfect casting. Like, he just looks so much like him, and I don't know. I think they've got the chops to make this a good series. I don't know how far they can go, but if they can give me a finale where Joel Marsh Garland, who's James Garretson in the show, if he's just on a jet ski and that's how they finish the show, I'm totally down for that.
What was the show that was on FX, Kev? The one that we liked, that they did the Versace series, they did the OJ.
So that's American Crime Story. They just did the impeachment story.
Yes, and the impeachment was the most recent one. This feels like it's going to have that sort of level of dramatization, but obviously it's going to bring in the comedy, right? I don't think you can cast someone like Kate McKinnon and not get a little bit cheeky with some of it, right?
I don't know if you can tell the story of Carol and Joe without being very cheeky
especially with
and
Joe.
Fun with it, right?
Like, especially with a character like Joe, right? As eccentric as he is. So I'm excited to see what this show's going to do. And, given that Bel Air is going to be coming out, I think the 13th of February, 14th here in Canada on Showcase. But with that sort of dramatization series kind of coming from Peacock and then potentially this following in March, it'll be interesting to see how, Peacock really does round out the kind of content that they're bringing to the streaming platform.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it can keep up with like an HBO or a Disney Plus. I think even Apple TV Plus has sort of garnered a reputation for putting out some really quality, like, HBO level content. And to me, like, at the end of the day, like, I still see HBO attached to something, and I'm like, that's most likely going to be a really good series or TV show. So, to have NBC, and, like, we're looking at Paramount Plus launching soon with like, we talked about the Halo series last week and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it will be really kind of intriguing to see, okay, which ones actually land and do really well, and then which ones are going to kind of feel lesser than.
Yeah, which are going to come in to kind of challenge some of the other big names in this streaming wars.
The streaming wars.
Well, speaking of streaming wars and which movies and shows are going to be good and which might not be, our next trailer was forced upon me to be included in the show here because I think Nate is very, very eager for this one. The trailer gives us a glimpse at the story of the raucous exploits of a blended family of 12, the Bakers, as they navigate a hectic home life while simultaneously managing their family business. The Disney Plus original movie Cheaper by the Dozen, which is a fresh take on the 2003 hit family comedy, stars Gabrielle Union and Zach Braff and will premiere March 18th, 2022, exclusively on Disney Plus. Cheaper by the Dozen is directed by Gail Lerner, with a screenplay by Kenya Barris and Jennifer Rice Genzuk. Henry, based upon the novel by Frank Bunker Gilbreth Jr. and Ernestine Gilbreth Carey. Why so many names, people? Why does everyone in this project have 3 or 4 names? In addition to Union and Braff, the film stars Erica Christensen, Timon Kyle Jarrett, Journey Brown, Kylie Rogers, Andrew Robinson, Kaylee Belensky, Arian Simhadri, Leo Abello, Perry, Michelle Harris, Christian Coate, Sebastian Coate, and Luke Prale. Now, I know I was a fan of the original films. That's probably because I'll watch anything with Steve Martin in it.
Yeah.
That said, I am not sure this is a reboot I need in my life.
Dude, I'm not. I put this in there because I wanted to say how like this doesn't look good at all. I'm not. I'm not excited about it
good.
at all.
Okay, so as long as we're all on the same page, like,
It's honestly, it looks so rough. I'm getting vibes of Home Alone again, or Home Sweet Home Alone again, and it just feels like it's again another thing that they should have just left well enough alone. It was fine when it came out. I get what they're trying to do with this show. I get the direction that they're going, but at the same time, this trailer gave me no story. This is a movie or a TV show? Just really quick.
It's a movie.
it is a movie.
It's a movie, and it felt like I was watching scenes from a bunch of scenes of a TV show. Like, it felt like a bunch of moments cut together with no storyline. Like, I don't know where these characters are going, what they want to achieve, and it's just Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union running around doing TikTok dances.
I mean, I'm fine with not knowing what the story is. You know what the story is. It's a mom with 6 kids comes together with the dad with 6 kids. They Brady Bunch it up.
But what
and they live a
happens?
crazy hectic house with 12 kids, and they've got to manage their stuff. That is all this has ever been about.
Well, isn't it 10 kids? It's 5
Was
and
it
5.
10 kids and then the 2 make 12?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever it is. They got a buttload of kids, which is insane.
I know,
How anybody
but
could live like that.
I think though the pitch that you just had there, Nate, sounds a lot more interesting. Like turning this into a TV show that probably
Right?
would target the family audience.
You hit the
more.
Modern Family side of things,
and,
right?
and there you go. There, if you go even further and you want to take it even deeper and make it different, you go the Modern Family route, and it's a Modern Family, cheaper by the dozen spoof,
Mashup.
if you will. Yeah, it's, you know what I mean. And it talks about the blended family. Like I 100% agree with you. It's very obvious what they're trying to do with this, and I think it's very good. I like the progressive mind frame of what they're doing. But that being said, I feel like this looks very apparent that this is dulled down to kids. Like, this is not for our audience. And again, Kevin, like you said, I loved the original Cheaper by the Dozen because of Steve Martin. And if he was brought back, if he was like their grandfather, like, you know what I mean? Like, that would have been...
Jeez. The grandfather who has 10 kids. I mean, I guess he would end up having like 25 grandchildren by the end of it, right?
But like,
I mean, just don't forget that was also a PG movie, so I don't expect this show to be anything more than a PG
it's
sort
just
of
what
rehash.
kids watch now versus what we would have watched back then. That was probably passable as PG content. Like Nate, you were saying, Home Sweet Home Alone. That was just targeted for a whole other audience that disregarded any of the people that appreciated the originals. So it's like, okay.
but I'm like, I just quickly watched in silence the original trailer for Cheaper by the Dozen, and you've got the story of like the boyfriend coming in and like taking the daughter away or whatever. Like, at least that gives me something. I literally couldn't tell you a single thing that is going to progress with these characters, and it's just, for something like this, that's not how you pull in your audience. I don't know. Like, who are they going after with this, right? Like, who is the audience
Kids,
for this?
man.
And it's
the
just
same audience that I think Home Sweet Home Alone was
going after.
is what this is for.
Well, I feel like this might still be better than that.
When you're remaking something 20, 30, 40 years later, whatever it is, you need to make it accessible for the new generation, but also good enough or have elements that are going to attract the fans of the original one.
Exactly.
So parents can watch with their kids together, whereas Home Sweet Home Alone didn't have anything above, a
McAllister name.
Yeah, there was nothing to engage adults for an hour and a half, and this the fans of the originals would be about 40 or so now. Depending on when they would have seen the original Cheaper by the Dozen. It needs to have something to attract those people as well as kids who want to watch a bunch of zany family stuff, and I don't see that. Just like that 70s show, like I was watching that show, and my dad, who grew up at the time, was finding it funny, and so that 70s show has to appeal to, they'd actually even be a bit older than us, the people who the show would be about, being in your teens in the 90s, but it has to attract those people who are now in their 40s, as well as the kids who are the age of the people in the show. And so finding that balance to get both sides of the coin is really difficult, but I don't know how well this one is doing it. I really hope that 90s show is better at it than what this appears to do. But I will say, while Disney Plus has sometimes struggled to engage us with their upcoming content and some of their reboots and rehashes, Netflix is coming out of the gates 2022 with a crazy-looking lineup of movies. They promise to come at us with basically a new movie every single week. Just when you think the streaming giant might settle in and just go, you know what, we've got 220 million subscribers. We're done here. Nope, we're just going to blow the roof off. This new trailer, I thought it was really, really fun. I thought it was incredible to mix clips from the movies as well as shots that were clearly taken while on set but made just for the trailer. And so to be able to sort of mix that and blend that together must have taken a lot of work. And what a lineup of stars. We're talking J-Lo, Chris Hemsworth, Jason Momoa, Jamie Foxx in multiple movies, Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Millie Bobby Brown, Henry Cavill, Queen Latifah, Adam Sandler, Anthony Mackie. So like basically every Avenger. We've got Marky Mark and Kevin Hart, Jessica Chastain, Mila Kunis, Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, Halle Berry, Mark Ruffalo, see, another Avenger, Charlize Theron, and that's just who I could spot on a single watch-through. And it really looks like there'll be something for everyone. We're talking comedy, drama, action, adventure, animated, romance, and then we finish off with the big reveal of what is likely what we're all most looking forward to, Knives Out, starring Daniel Craig. So why don't we talk about a few movies that stood out.
The trailer as a whole reminded me of something that Disney Plus would do. Like, I don't think Netflix has done something like this in the past.
I've never seen anything like that from them.
It actually reminded me almost like a travel commercial. Like when the actors would break the fourth wall and talk to the camera, like come to the Philippines, like they would, like how they do it, or like a Cineplex commercial, right? Like it kind of feels like welcome back to the movies kind of thing, right? Yeah. But it was kind of, for me, that was kind of the odd additions to the. I get that they blended it in, and that's cool, but it sort of took me out of it at times where I was just kind of like, I just want to see these movies. But I'm hyped. I'm sad that we got to pay more monthly now. I mean, as long as half of these movies turn out good, then maybe it'll still be worth it for that upgraded Netflix subscription. But yeah, dude, Knives 2 looks, it's literally just a moment of seeing them. But I guess it's going to be on a boat. Is that the idea? Is that the shtick in this one?
Well, and it looks like a new cast, which I was very happy to see. Yeah. All we need is Daniel Craig's character, and he's got to be working on a new case. We can't have the same people involved in another murder mystery, and so that was my thoughts, that it was going to be like that, and so a confirmation of that was really nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that suspicion about the movie, but yeah, I think that this was a unique piece of marketing material that gets you hyped for what 2022 will bring for the streaming platform. But this also feels like a thank you to fans, and I think it's the right time to obviously release it, as you pointed out, Nate. Like, to see this and to know that the prices are going up, it kind of goes hand in hand.
It helps with the sting. I think, you put out on Twitter like a horny Jason Momoa is talking to you at one point. We got Enola Holmes 2, which I still haven't watched the first one, and you guys said it was great. So
I really enjoyed it. That was one of the ones I was most excited to see a sequel to. I'm a big Sherlock guy, so it's a nice twist on that sort of legacy.
I want to call out one of the two Jamie Foxx movies in here. They cloned Tyrone. Just the stills that I've been seeing, and the fact that it's Jamie Foxx, Teyonah Parris, and John frickin' Boyega in one movie, like I'm stoked for it. It looks really interesting. So and that's the thing. Like I think the trailer does do a good job of showing strong singular moments, even without dialogue, where you're just like, ooh, that looks intriguing. Like, that looks interesting enough to like kind of look into it further. So I'm hoping we get more full trailers,
of course,
soon enough.
This was a hype reel. This was a hype reel. It was a 2022 hype reel. It did.
How could you want more from what they showed you there? You're so selfish sometimes. And I
just want more horny Jason Momoa, dude. That's all I want.
I mean, I will say that the price increase for Netflix doesn't bother me at all. Here in Canada, it's going up to $20 a month. That's the price of a movie.
Yeah, I guess,
a movie. And, to think about everything that's already on there that we already get, we already just had something like Ozark, which would be worth a month subscription, in my opinion, alone.
Sure, yeah.
Now they're going to give us a movie like this maybe once or twice or three times a month with not just a big-name star. These movies are packed. Like, I'm really excited for You People. I think that looks really, really awesome, with Jonah Hill, Dave Duchovny, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Eddie Murphy. That cast alone, it looks like a sort of Judd Apatow style movie. It's almost like The King of Staten Island, but maybe actually good. So like I'm excited for movies like that 100%. The list is nuts of these characters and actors that are in these movies.
Yeah, man.
Good for them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we'll get out of 2022. This hype reel it did the trick. It landed for me. So stay tuned because we'll probably have some reviews in the future for some of these projects.
And we'll try. We will check them out to make sure if it's worth your time. Yeah. Now, before we wrap up, I thought we would do a quick whatcha and maybe share one thing that we watched or played or something from throughout the week. Nate, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, dude. I accidentally fell into a series, and I love accidentally falling into amazing, phenomenal shows that I just never even heard of before. So there's a show that recently came out through Star on Disney Plus, and it's called Dave. And it's originally on FX, and it's about the life of Dave Bird, whose rapper name is Lil Dicky. Now,
yeah,
I had no idea, and like I'm talking to people who know hip hop at my work, and they're like, "You didn't know who Lil Dicky was?" Like I'm like, "Nah, dude, I don't know.
I wouldn't have a clue.
I'm so sorry. Like I have no idea. I'm not following the hip hop scene. I'm lame. I'm a lame person.
No, but
it's
I was
fine.
telling
I
you,
get
I
it.
remember telling you about this show like in 2020 when I found it.
Yeah,
I think
and I knew
you've
about Lil
mentioned this
Dicky
before in an episode.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And that's why when I saw you tweet it out the other day, I was like,
Yeah.
I called you and I was like, bro, I can't believe you finally are sitting down. I haven't even watched season 2 yet, but yeah, it's so good. It's such a great show.
Well, there's this, I don't know if it's a movie or a show or something, but there's some sort of like indie project about a Dave who's like a robot or something. And so in my mind, when I heard another podcast, shout out to the Kind of Funny crew, where they were talking about how amazing Dave is, but I didn't want to go into it because I like half wanted to watch this robot movie about Dave the robot or something, and half didn't want to watch it, and then it just sort of melted away. And so now they've got the first season on Star through Disney Plus, and now it's on. You can get your second season through, like if you just buy it on iTunes, which is what I did. But I'm telling you, man, like the show is absolutely phenomenal. They've got amazing guest stars. The storyline is incredible. And the only thing I'm going to say, and this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but the show, because we were talking about Euphoria, I think, Justin, you were talking about Euphoria and how sometimes some of it feels a little gratuitous for a little bit more gratuitous sake, where this show has some gratuitous stuff involving sex, but the way that they take that and turn it into an endearing moment blew my mind. Like, blew my mind to the point where I'm like, I don't even, like, I couldn't talk about this stuff to, like, my parents or my grandmother or anything like that, but I have a strong feeling that if my parents actually sat down and watched this show, that they would also be turned around to be like, that's really out of our comfort zone, but so wonderfully endearing and charming. And it's crazy how a show can make me feel those two feelings at once.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. Please watch Dave. Everyone needs to watch it.
Yeah, everyone needs to watch it. Because you tweeted it out, I rewatched it.
Sick.
And I rewatched season 1 because it was on Disney Plus. And yeah, the fact that he's such a skilled rapper, he's really a skilled writer, and his delivery of everything from the comedy to the rap, it's just so nuanced to who I think Dave Bird is.
Yes.
So it's so well done. It's so well done.
And watching it, I was like, oh, this actor can really rap. And then my friends pointed out to me like, no, that rapper can really act.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so true, dude. Please, you got to check it out. It's so good. I can't wait for season 3.
Nice. Well, just we know you've already watched this. So what you get up to this last week?
Well, so actually recently, I checked out one of the shows that we talked about last week in Trailer Time, which was Murderville. So I thought I would report back and let you guys know.
Yeah, watch that as well, yeah.
Did you? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't watch it all. I haven't watched it all. I got to Annie Murphy's episode. But I like some of the episodes I like more, moments I like more in the episodes.
Very hit or miss, I thought.
It is. And I think the structure, while so, like I was telling you guys last week, I was so intrigued with this sort of improv game show-esque. Like, it felt like an escape room, but it was like being recorded as a narrative. And, you know, you have these people that are obviously actors that are aware of what they're kind of doing. So they know the challenge, right? But they also know that they can just kind of go with it. There were some great moments in Kumail's episode with him and Will Arnett. And Annie Murphy was pretty good, though, but she was very much Annie Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, I found like it really did depend on the guest star for how well it worked. I mean, like the fact, like Kumail was probably the funniest because he seemed to be the most legitimately uncomfortable and like afraid of what was going to be done to him next, and that worked. Whereas like Annie she just kind of felt out of her element. This wasn't her strong suit. Then you got like Sharon Stone and I can't believe how good he was. Marshawn Lynch, him and Sharon Stone just were so good at becoming these characters that it almost wasn't funny anymore because they were just so good at it. And then like Ken Jeong laughing the whole time made it fun as well. Like him being bad was good. So like the worse they are at it, the better it is.
Right. And like that's where like I watched the Conan, like the first episode's Conan O'Brien, and I was disappointed, dude, because like, and maybe a part of me is sort of getting confused by the way it's shot. Like I almost feel like they need to take the scenes where the actors do break and need to maybe focus in on that a little bit more. Maybe change it, cut it to make it look like a reality show in the scenes where they're breaking or where the actors who are the guest stars have to kind of, because watching it and seeing it filmed the way it's filmed, parts of it just sort of feel like a poorly written comedy show.
But that's what I like about it. That's what I like about it. I like that aesthetic. I like the aesthetic of it, like, and the way it's shot and filmed feels like it's trying to take itself seriously as a show. It's kind of interesting, but it doesn't work for all of them. That is 100%
no, it didn't
for
work
sure.
for all of them. If there is a season 2, I hope they find more of the kind of guests that are uncomfortable and awkward and just really make it apparent that they're in this sort of improv environment and really
do
being
jackass
thrown
stuff.
for a loop.
Yeah.
Make them eat the hot sauce. Like that was the best part of the Conan episode, you know?
Yeah.
But what I really did like about it, and I sort of caught on towards the end of the first episode, was trying to solve the murder, trying to figure out which of the 3 suspects it was. Like that I wasn't looking forward to going into the show, but by the second or third episode,
There's
was
a reward
contest
at the end of
between
the episode.
Sarah and I to try and figure it out. And I think we each nailed one with enough of the evidence to suggest why we guessed that way. But so yeah, that was a really fun aspect. So I mean, me personally, I would definitely watch a second season of this.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would definitely check out a second season, and I think it was a good idea to try to see if it could work, and hopefully, to your point, they can probably look at this and maybe have some takeaways from it to see what they could do differently. And
yeah, I think you could tweak it a little and make it even better.
I don't know if they need to go full slapstick, but I do want to see the characters be super surprised by the circumstances, right? Because it's like, I think you referenced it last week, it feels like punked, right? Like it has a very punked quality to it, but they're in on being punked. And I think that plays well in this format, right? Whereas the aesthetic that like Nate was talking about before, where it's like very docu style, that was trying to capture those moments in that very real sort of way. So I like the idea that the show has its own sort of like crime style. I like that it's trying to take itself seriously.
Yeah, man. And Kevin, so that's Justin. Kevin, what ya been watching?
Okay, well, I'm just going to go out and say right now that Disney Plus is the wildest streaming service on the planet. We talked about the fact that they're coming out with cheaper by the dozen. You can go on there and watch such family-friendly content as The Mighty Ducks, and even Book of Boba Fett is very much for families and that sort of thing. Right on the top bar, you got Book of Boba Fett. You swipe over one, and I'm clicking on Pam and Tommy, and all of a sudden we've got Lily James and rocking big fake breasts, bare-chested, faker breasts than Pam Anderson actually had. We've got Sebastian Stan talking to his penis, and his very animated penis talking back to him. And I'm going, this is on Disney Plus.
Wild,
not
dude.
on Star. You don't have to like select Star and go find it. It's right on the main page of Disney Plus, right beside the Mighty Ducks. I think that is absolutely insane. I will say the show is very, very interesting. I think it's unbelievable the transformation Lily James has gone under to look like a spitting image of Pam Anderson. Sebastian Stan is very hit or miss as Tommy. You can see him really nailing it at certain points, but if he goes too far, it's a bit hokey.
I mean, you see him nailing it for sure, right?
Well, there's a lot of you seeing him nail it, let me tell you. Yeah. And I'm sure that's very accurate. And huge props to Seth Rogen and Nick Offerman. They're playing very understated characters for what we're typically used to seeing them. I will just say I'm kind of saving my judgment for the show until it's over. I want to see how they treat the Pamela Anderson character. I thought we mentioned the show earlier, Justin, Crime Story, Impeachment. I thought what they did so well in that show was show that all the media did to Monica Lewinsky was make her the villain, and they shamed her, and they were so terrible. And in the end, she was the victim. And I think a lot of that is very similar here with Pam Anderson, in that she was really outed as being, a sexually promiscuous character when she just made a love tape with her husband that somebody stole and leaked to the press, and that sort of defined her for pretty much the rest of her career. And so I want to see how they sort of examine that as they move forward. We're only about 3 episodes in, so there's lots of time to sort of tell that story. The tape hasn't even really been released to the world quite yet in the narrative of everything. So I'm enjoying the show so far, but I am really curious to see how they handle all of that with her character. Yeah, well, that is it for This Week in Geek. Thanks so much for tuning in wherever you listen to podcasts. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and leave us a glowing review. We always appreciate the love. And also, you can always reach out and say hi, ask us a question about any of the news or trailers covered today, or about anything we cover in general. You can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or if that's not modern enough for you, hit us up on Twitter at GeekcentricYT and Instagram at WeAreGeekcentric. Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other episodes covering a variety of other content, and new content always coming out, such as our ongoing watch club for the Book of Boba Fett. Our episodes for the first 6 episodes are out and ready to enjoy for your listening pleasure, and our review for the final episode is coming your way in just a few days. And every week, just like right now, we come at you with This Week in Geek, as well as so much more, so keep your eyes peeled for all of that wonderful content. But until next time, J-Law, Nate, thanks for joining me for This Week in Geek, and as we say,
love ya.
Go out, have fun, and then get home safe, guys.
Peace.